The Cincinnati Bengals and Trey Hendrickson saga, drama, soap opera, whatever you want to call it, has officially reached its boiling point. Trey Hendrickson showed up to offseason workouts wearing business casual attire, and he is letting his truth be known. He said verbatim, "I'm not going to apologize for what defensive ends are making nowadays. Should Washington and Adam Peters pony up and make one more aggressive trade for a veteran 30-year-old player? This one just happens to be elite. Let's discuss." Per Adam Schefter, Jordan Schultz, Ari Meroff, every single NFL insider has been all over this Bengals Trey Hendrickson situation. Cincinnati just doesn't do business like modern day NFL teams do. You saw how they got contract extensions done with probably the best receiver in the league right now in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both. You know, they kept both of their elite quarterback main targets there in Cincinnati. But the truth is, Jamar Chase probably should have been paid last year, and they might not have necessarily had to give him $40+ million a year. But with cap numbers rising, and then he goes out and has the season that he has with 18 touchdowns, you would think the Bengals learned their lesson on not to lowball and not to slow play, slow cook the chicken when it comes to paying players. The Bengals have a problem on the defensive side of the football. There is no reason why MVP statistic Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, offensive player of the year stat type player, did not make the playoffs last year. They were a half a game out of the playoffs, 9-win team, but their defense was the problem. It's absolutely abysmal. They have one excellent defensive players and a bunch of guys. And that one excellent player is edge rusher, defensive end Trey Hendrickson, 30 years old, will be turning 31 in about December. And he led the league in fucking sacks this year with 17 and a half. And you know what he did the year before? 17 and a half. And the year before, he did 8. And the year before, he did 14. And the year before, he did 13 and a half. He has 77 sacks in his 7-year career so far. That's 11 sacks a season for those who want to do math on the situation. Washington currently has a need at edge, according to us. Maybe the team may not feel so, but I would imagine Adam Peters has at least monitored the situation. Well, whether he's monitored it or not, it's something to talk about because Trey Hendrickson is letting it be known how he feels about it. So we're going to get into some of these comments he's making. And it's not to mention as well the Cincinnati Bengals #1 draft pick this year, Shamar Stewart, the guy who with no production, all projection player. He held out a rookie minicamp. It is the first time it's ever been done in the history of the league. Someone held out a rookie minicamp because they are lowballing him on his first round offer. Per what I read today, he said the guy from the same position, 17th spot, Dallas Turner, last year, they offered him a less fully guaranteed contract as that player. So not only are they dealing with this saga with Trey Hendrickson, their first round pick ain't even show up to rookie minicamp because they're already fucking up the relationship between his agent and them. This team just finds a way to do prehistoric business and they don't operate like the rest of the league. And they're going to end up lowering the value in an eventual trade, or they're going to be hoed to pay Trey Hendrickson exactly what he's asking for. But Trey Hendrickson made comments. He's out there in golf attire at practice today. Let's see what he's talking about.
I'm a Floridian. So there's unprovoked shark attacks and there's provoked shark attacks. And the comments that are being made, right? Whatever happened at the combine, whatever happened at the owners' meetings, and the text I got yesterday, this is not something where I'm just twiddling my thumbs thinking, oh, how can I get the next one up?
Okay.
I'm a Floridian. So there's
He talking
unprovoked
that
shark
shit. He
attacks
talking
and
that
there's
shit. Okay. Know your worth, King. Know your worth, King.
former players have walked in these shoes, and what it foreshadows
Nigga talking
is
like a
not
freedom
something that
fighter.
I'm excited about to tell my wife and family, like, hey, I'm getting good vibes or should be happy. Um, those comments stink, and that's what makes this place so special is that they watch me every day. They see how hard I work. There's no other organization knows me better
Know your
than
worth,
this one.
King.
They watch me an individual. They see how I carry myself as a
Uh-huh.
human being, and they know me. So it stinks when the value somewhere else, because I was fortunate enough to have that trade request granted, whether it was 1, 2, 3 first round picks, I had no idea. It gave me the fortunate like circumstance to see my value elsewhere, and I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. And I truthfully will put my hope in that. Ultimately, though, my hope is in the Lord.
Okay, so Cincinnati Ryan Kerrigan with a little higher motor just pretty much said they finally put the ball in my court and they let me gauge my trade value throughout the league. He's pretty much saying the rest of the league telling me that they will pay me. They will pay me what I am owed because Max Crosby just got 33 million. Myles Garrett just got about 40 million a year. And production wise, he's on that level. He's on that level as a pass rusher. That is a top 2 to 3 pass rusher in the league, sack leader last year. But he's saying, put some respect on my name. You watch how I practice. You watch how I prepare. You watch how I conduct myself on and off the football field. Where's the disconnect? And then y'all talking crazy to me in the process. Like, it also came out, that was also reported today. Trey said in that same interview, he received a text from head coach Zach Taylor 30 days before mandatory minicamp, warning him that he'd be fined if he didn't show up. And he said, obviously, that frustrated him, especially given the poor communication from the team throughout the offseason.
I'm a Floridian. So
Like,
there's unprovoked
how
shark
do you
attacks
think
and there's
that's
provoked.
going to massage and
I'm a
smooth
Floridian.
the relationship
Shark
with a
attacks.
player talking crazy to a
I'm a
player like
Floridian.
that? What are we talking about?
And the comments that are being made.
What are
right?
we talking about?
Whatever
Okay.
happened at the
Okay,
combine,
Trey. I've heard
whatever
enough.
happened at
I've heard enough. How do they think that this is advantageous for getting a deal done? Hey, you better show up to mandatory minicamp, but we're finding your ass every day. Y'all are trying to work. Bro, he is like Shamar Stewart, your first round pick. He's out there too, but that nigga couldn't sack quarterbacks in college. You're looking at a guy who sacks the quarterback on a higher clip than almost everyone in the league. You don't want to pay him when your defense is shite. Your defense is the reason you didn't make the playoffs last year. I feel like this ends either one of two ways. This ends in the Bengals caving and giving him more money than he originally asked for because the leverage is on his side at this point, or they're going to have to trade him. And they're going to have to probably bite the bullet and accept less value because the whole world is watching the value of the leverage completely leave the team because this is sour. This is not a guy that likes to step up to the. You could tell this is a soft-spoken guy. He does not want to have to do this. They got him out here talking like a freedom fighter about his situation right now, man. You hate to see it. And I know we see this all the time. We saw it this offseason. We saw it this offseason play out with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett went on an album rollout press tour run where he flirted with the idea of being an eagle, being a commander, playing for other teams and all that as one big leverage play disguised as discontent. You know, he just wanted to get his bag secured, and boy, did they take care of him. They got him out the way. Max Crosby, it was all rumblings from media and stuff. Everything you've heard from him was, I want to be a Raider for life. I want to be a Raider for life. And everything about that guy spells Raider for life. He is the epitome of what that franchise is. Hope he gets to see some prosperous years there at some point. Trey Hendrickson just wants to show up and play football, bro. There's no extraness to his game. He wants to put on his plain Walmart long sleeve underneath his jersey and go sack quarterbacks. And Clearly, the Cincinnati Bengals have him fucked up. So if this is let's just say for a second, this is okay, we're going to actually trade him situation. We're going to stop bullshitting. We're going to grant his wish. We're going to let him seek his value elsewhere. What are you willing to part with, if anything, for this current Washington Commanders team? I think after the offseason we just had this year and the season we had last year, a difference-making edge rusher is one of the final cherries on top of a perfect sundae of an annual championship contender. And we didn't draft one. We have 5 picks in the 2026 draft. You can start pulling from the 2027 draft, but I imagine you would have to part ways with something in 2026. The Bengals are probably going to fight tooth and nail to acquire a first-round pick in 2026. Would you be willing to part with a first, meaning Washington would be without its first, second, and fourth round pick in 2026? Would you tell them we'll give you a 3 in 2026 and we'll give you a second in 2027? How would you do this? We host the draft in 2027, so that draft is special to us. That should be near and dear to our hearts at this point. But what would you give up for Trey Hendrickson? Like, we watched the Myles Garrett saga take place this offseason, and Adam Peters told us straight up to our faces at his introductory presser, we will always monitor situations. We will be calculated and aggressive. And he has stuck to his word so far. On the final hours of the trade deadline, they go get Marshawn Lattimore. They go get Deebo Samuel for a 5th, and the most aggressive trade he's made so far, we got Laramie Tunzel for a 3rd and a 7th in 2025 and a 2nd and a 4th for 2026. And I imagine they're going to get an extension done with that guy. I don't think money is even something anyone has to worry about. One, an extension opens up more money right now and for later. 2, the way that the team is setting up contracts with the free agents that it's bringing in, we're bringing in a bunch of trials, a bunch of prove-it one-year situations. So we're resetting our market every offseason. And you can do this. You can play offseason roulette and reset every offseason until it's time to pony up them coins for the quarterback. And that's about a couple years. That's about two, maybe 3 years from now. You would probably want to get that done before the final year of his. You don't want to go into a 5th-year option year with a superstar quarterback. But there is a building for the future. There's a building for the right now. And sometimes those things go hand in hand. And you have to aggressively attack success when you have the greatest asset known to man in the NFL. That is an elite quarterback on a rookie contract. An elite quarterback on a rookie contract gives you the cap flexibility to aggressively overload the roster and build a winning ecosystem around said young quarterback, so that when it is time to pay him, you took care of a lot of guys already, and the roster is set. You've paid the quarterback. You've got the pieces around him. Now go compete for championships every year. Look what they're doing in Philadelphia. And Jalen Hurts ain't this. Jalen Hurts ain't this guy. Year 1, Jaden had a more impressive season than any of the seasons we've seen from Jalen Hurts so far. But Jalen Hurts did win the Super Bowl last year, so shout out to him. Fuck the Eagles, though. Back on topic. You got to take advantage of the title window. I don't think we're going to trade for Trey Hendrickson. But I do think we've inquired, and I do think we will inquire again. Hit him with the hey, big head, the hey, stranger text at 2 a.m. Hey, big head, what's going on over there in Cincy, man? Hey, we had conversations before the draft. What y'all doing, man? We didn't draft an edge rusher. We still got a need there. What y'all trying to do? I've seen rumors that the Bengals are not only seeking a first-round pick, but they're seeking a young they're seeking a young, talented player as well Who would fit the billing for that? Deron Payne? I don't think Deron Payne's going anywhere. Would I part ways with Deron Payne for Trey Hendrickson? I surely would consider it because Deron Payne hasn't been the most productive for us outside of his rookie contract. But I would have the conversation. Whatever the asking price is, I would sit Lance Newmark, I would sit Joe Witt, Dan Quinn, and company down. Guys, how over the top would this put us right now and for the foreseeable future? Let's say we sign him, but not only do we trade for him, we sign Trey Hendrickson to a 3-year extension. 3-year, let's call it 105. 3-year, 3 years, $105 million extension. That's a little rich, but he's gonna get it from somebody. That's crazy, by the way. He's gonna get $33 to $35 million a year from somebody. He's good enough against the run. He's not a liability against the run, but he is a master at finding and sacking quarterbacks, and he is fed the fuck up of his situation. We've seen it countless times, guys being fed up and they find a way to shake hands and kumbaya over a fresh new top of the market deal. But I would imagine at this point, as we sit here on May 13th, if they get a deal done in Cincinnati, he's putting turmoil tax on they bitch asses. He is putting a tax on it. Y'all got to give me 38, 37 a year at this point. So I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I think Washington will continue to inquire. I think we've already inquired. I think we've monitored the situation. It may be too rich for our blood, but I'll tell you what, Commanders fans will lose their fucking mind if Peters goes and makes another aggressive trade for a guy of this ilk, a guy of this caliber. And I know the ageist people, you're going to say another old player. All old players are not created equal. Trey Hendrickson at 30 years old is still elite in his prime and at the top of his game. He has not climbed over a mountain yet. He has not started to regress. So before you say that's something Dan Snyder would do, no, the fuck it is not. Dan Snyder went out and aggressively seeked, overpaid, and coveted names that were past their prime on their way out. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I don't think we trade for Trey Hendrickson, but I think we'll discuss it. I think we'll be in the mix. I think we'll be in the conversation. How do I see this situation playing out? I see the Bengals realizing that they're fucking stupid and overpaying him and giving him close to Myles Garrett money. That's how I see this working out because he's putting public pressure on them to do so. Boy showed up in golf attire like he was ready to shoot at 18 at OTAs today. Not mandatory shit, at OTAs. He showed up because he wanted to face the media and because his agent said, go out there and tell your side of the story. So public perception is currently swinging to the pendulum of Trey Hendrickson at this current juncture, and they still got to work it out with their first round pick, Shamar Stewart, because he ain't even put foot on practice soil yet, and he's already having issues with him. Bad franchises do bad business, and trust me, as a fan of Washington, all I've known is bad business for the majority of my entire fan life. Business started booming here about a year ago. So if y'all want to do bad business, Cincinnati, call Adam Peters and Trey Hendrickson. Welcome to Death Row. Come on down to DC where we're actually building something. We'll actually value you and treat you like the asset that you are. Our defense not as ass as that Cincinnati Bengals defense. You would think the Bengals would do everything and bend over backwards and go through hoops for the only good defensive player that they have. But they want to play. They want to play franchise games. They want to play. We'll see what happens in 2026 when he's an unrestricted free agent game because he's currently only there on a 1-year, $21 million deal and only like 18 against the cap. So I don't know. The writing's on the wall. Trey Hendrickson, let it be known today. I will not play in 2025 under my current deal. Point blank, period. And I would say the same thing if I led the league in sacks and followed up a 17 and a half sack season with a 17 and a half sack season. Hell no. Pony up the dollars, back up the Brinks truck, pay me what I owe, or ship me to a team that will. She ain't treating you right, find another one. She ain't going to do right by you, value you, appreciate you. There are other fish in the sea. And according to Trey Hendrickson, he tested the waters this off season. And there was some females looking. There were some other baddies in the club that had their eye on him, and they might appreciate him a little bit more and know his worth. Know your worth, King. Get out of that shithole known as Cincinnati. Come on down to the city. We building something special over here. Our defense could use a blue chip player on the edge. That would dramatically, in tandem with all of the collective moves we made this offseason, close the gap between us and the Philadelphia Eagles. But let me know what you think on the matter. I'm not going to bloviate and ramble for too long about it, but I had to make a video because this is something we should be monitoring as Washington Commanders fans, because Adam Peters has been the most aggressive GM in the league since he took over the team about, 18 months ago. So everything is something that we need to discuss. And I still think that is the last missing piece to the puzzle here in DC. That cherry on top will put us over the top. But let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Trey Hendrickson to DC. Trey Hendrickson staying in Cincinnati. Let me know how y'all think this saga is going to play out. That's all I got for right now. Hail to the Washington Commanders, and talk soon.